We say every morning in Psuket Zimra, Kikol Elohei Ha'amim Elilim, pause, V'Hashem Shamayim Asa. That all the gods of the foreign nations of idol worshippers are meaningless. Contrast that with, pause, V'Hashem Shamayim Asa, but the true God created the heavens. On the simplest level, the reason that we pause in the middle of that sentence is because we want to make sure that we don't give off any impression of including V'Hashem in Elilim, of making it sound like God is being included in this statement of the meaninglessness of foreign gods. But I think in this pause, there's also a deeper message that is worth thinking about. The reason we pause is not just because in the words that we say, we don't want to give off the impression of mixing up Elilim with V'Hashem, but it's because in our actual lived lives, in the ways that we experience the world and the ways that we function in this world, we want to make sure that we don't confuse and mix up that which in our lives is Elilim and that which in our lives is V'Hashem. The things that are means to an end and the things that are the ends in themselves. The things that are helpful or sometimes not so helpful with the things that are the actual values, the actual goals and purposes of our lives. It's very easy to mix those up, to confuse them, and to lose a sense of priorities. Most of the time, the reason that we conflate the Elilim and the V'Hashem, the reason that we make those mistakes and mix those things up, is because we're moving very fast. As the Baal Shem Tov says on the pasuk Va'avadetem Meheira, that you will quickly be destroyed, that all destruction comes from moving too quickly, being too entrenched, too impulsive. And so Chazal tell us, and the minhag that we have is that when we say this pasuk, we pause, because what we're learning and what we're saying is that in order to be able to live a life in which we maintain a clarity on what is Elilim and what is V'Hashem, we need to insert pauses into our lives, to slow down that quick pace, that mindless way of living, and to add more moments of reflection, more moments of pause and consideration about what are my priorities? Am I living aligned with those priorities? Am I maintaining a sense of clarity on what are the true values, the V'Hashem, and the things that are not really those true values, the Elilim? Different Sfarim talk about these pauses in life in different ways and different terms. In Chabad, it's referred to as hisponenus, contemplation. In Breslov and Rabbi Nachman, it's referred to as hispodidus, isolation. In many of the Sifrei Musar, it's talked about as cheshben hanefesh, taking stock of one's soul. In Mesilas Yesharim, in the beginning, it's referred to as zehirus. In Sha'alvim with Rav Waxman, I think this is what was referred to as the silent niggin. So it can be referred to in many different ways, but everyone understands and identifies that in order to move forward in life, we first need to be able to stop and separate the Elilim from the Elokim. We need to be able to add those moments of pause, to be able to assess our priorities, and to commit to the right goals, and to then plan our roadmaps of how we're going to get there. And when we do pause, we begin the process of tshuva. And in that word, we're already making a very radical and important assumption. In the word tshuva, return, we're assuming that wherever it is we're trying to get to is a place we've already been. We're returning to that place. And I think the reason for this is because we all know what our priorities should be. We all have a sense, a consciousness of those priorities. But again, we move so quickly that sometimes they can get a bit mixed up. We know what is Elokim and we know what is Elilim. We simply need to add some more pauses into our lives to allow for that awareness and that clarity of priorities to surface in a more poignant and impactful way.
כשהיו שומעים את שם השם המפורש יוצא מפי כהן גדול היו קוראים, משתחווים ונופלים על פניהם. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם